published in Nature Medicine looks at the economics of using metformin. It notes long COVID has impacted more than 400 million people globally, costing $1 billion a year. Suggests that more than
I don't know, I can't hear, I'm not paying attention, I'm sorry.
administered.
We're live, so I can't hear.
Since the drug is inexpensive, that he wants patients to take a more proactive role in their health.
Doctors are just learning about it. There's nobody paying to get this information to physicians, which you're going to have to be the one as a patient to get this research to your doctor and to ask them how doctors will hear about the study.
The CDC has found American Indians and Alaskan Natives are about 3.5 times more likely to experience long COVID. The likelihood for people who identify as Hispanic or Black is 2.5 times. I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
You're listening to KABF 88.3 FM in Little Rock, the voice of the people.
You love your dog, and we do too. For over 70 years, Little Rock Dog Training Club has been helping owners and their dogs establish lifelong bonds and good manners. Whether you are looking to compete in dog sports like agility, scent work, rally, or obedience, or you just need your puppy to sit, stay, and come, Little Rock Dog Training Club has experienced instructors to help you and your dog achieve your goals. Affordable 8-week training sessions at Little Rock Dog Training Club include classes throughout the week to fit your busy schedule. Registration for the next session opens on December 14th, and classes start on January 5th. Check out our website, littlerockdogtrainingclub.com, and follow us on Facebook. Little Rock Dog Training Club is a registered nonprofit established to serve our community.
Yes, we are live right here at Community Voices on KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. Hotep, I see you already in the space with us this morning. We just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for joining us. I want to start out by saying Sawubona. I don't think I've said that in quite some time. I forget. I write it all the time, but I don't always say it. So I want to remind us that it is in the spirit of oneness that we are gathered in this space, the spirit of oneness that reminds us that we are connected, we are interconnected, we are inextricably connected by our humanity. There is nothing that we can do to separate each other from that humanity, but what we can do is figure out how to live into that oneness better than we're doing right now. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about always as we center Blackness in this space, in the overarching context of what it means to be human. So we thank you so much for joining us right here every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 o'clock. We are grateful for you because we realize and we recognize that if it were not for you, KABF would not be alive today. KABF would not have celebrated 40 years back in October. KABF would not be able to show up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making sure that our mission is fulfilled, to enlighten, to inform, to educate. That is why we are here, and you make that possible. So thank you so much. We are forever grateful that you show up. The phone lines are already open. Sometimes I forget to say that too, at 501-433-0088. 501-433-0088. Usually right about now, I'll say something like, I'm your host, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise, and then I will introduce your co-host. But you know what? Tony is not here today. Your co-host is not. I think the holidays wore him slap out. That's what I think. With all of the family that he had at home, with all of the conversations, the crying and the snotting they were doing, and the celebrating and the eating and the sleeping, I think it just wore his body out. So he's somewhere doing something. I'm sure he'll tell you all about it when he's in the space again. So I would say I'm rolling solo, but I'm not. It looks like it on Facebook, but we got a guest in the house today. I'm trying to get him up on the screen, so y'all just give me a few minutes. But right now, let him introduce himself to some and present himself to others, because he has been on the show before. He has absolutely been on the show before. Y'all will know him as soon as he announces himself. And so y'all can just go ahead and listen up to your guest as he lets you know who's in the house. Woo, woo.
Well, hello there. This is National Chess Master Tony Davis in the house. And how's everybody doing this morning?
Well, they'll have to call in and let us know.
Yes, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And I want to thank Denise for having me here first off. It's a great honor, great privilege, and great pleasure to be here. And we're here to promote the Royal Game of Kings and Queens, chess. It's a very, very important game. A lot of people have missed it, though. And that's why we're here. I'm the self-proclaimed Arkansas State Chess Ambassador. And want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to not only learn the game, but to learn how to enjoy the game. The game of Kings and Queens, it promotes critical thinking, high self-esteem, independence, logic, memory. And so it's very important that we have it in our schools. And it's not currently in our schools, at least not on a mandatory basis. It's in some schools as extracurricular. But I just want to let everybody know, if that you want to learn this game, then all you have to do is call my number. It's 501-744-4911. You can call me anytime. We have a club that people who want to learn how to play chess and people who already know how to play chess can meet us every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Andy's Restaurant, which is located at 9801 Markham. Yes, the game of chess, and I would like to show that this game originated actually in Africa. A lot of people are very, very unaware of this, but I can pull this up and show you online, where Queen Nefertari was actually sitting up playing a game of chess, a variation of chess, actually. So this is a great topic of discussion as well.
Well, what I wanted to make sure that we do is make sure that we follow up on conversations. Sometimes we introduce conversations. Sometimes we we start a conversation and we don't circle back to it. And we had a conversation with you earlier. We brought you on Chessmaster Tony Davis because you were having some kind of event. And it was an event that was huge. It was an event that was like one of a kind, state of the art kind of event that you were hosting here in Little Rock. And I wanted to make sure that we circled back to see what happened with that and to see if there were any steps that we can take to support you in your continued work to make those kinds of things happen. So can you just give us a brief update on what we talked about before, the event that you were having, and then what has happened since then?
Absolutely, yes, that is correct. And I want to thank all the supporters, and we hope that you continue to support. It was actually in Russellville. We planned to have it in Little Rock next time. We tried to get it in Little Rock this time, that just didn't happen. It was in Russellville. It was a record breaker in terms of prize fund, which I think is very important, and attendance. We had 74 players, which is not a lot for other states, but for Arkansas, it's a lot because we normally have 40 to 50 players on the average. It was a record-breaking $5,000 guaranteed prize fund, which is also not a lot, but it's a lot for Arkansas. Previously, you've only had like $400 for first place prize, but we offered $1,000 for first place. And I think that's important. And I think we need to continue to grow and build that to catch the attention. Now, Denise started off introducing this radio show as a show that's centered around Blackness. We didn't have not one Black child in this tournament, and I think that's sad, and I think that's wrong. And so I think the answer is putting more money into these tournaments. If a single mother wants to get her LaQuisha in a tournament and she knows she's going to have to spend money, it would be nice to know that if her daughter dominates this tournament, that she can win $1,000. What a decent prize that she can brag to her school friends about. And a lot of people kind of disagree with me on that, but it's open for discussion. I don't see why anybody think you should play for free. Any other sport, you get paid. If you knock a white ball in a hole called golf and you come in 5th place, you still might win $100,000. You win $450 at a state chess championship tournament, that needs to be looked at too.
I want to say that this conversation is also rooted in the song that you chose. I've been trying my best to include the guests as much as possible in the conversation. So I asked, what song would you like to use to kind of ground our space? And the song is by Kelly Price, and it's called "It's My Time." And she talks about the importance of recognizing this moment in her life when it's her turn to shine. It's her turn to show up. It's her turn to take center stage. It's just her turn. And I was thinking about that in the realm of spirituality. There is a Greek term called kairos, which basically means it is a critical moment. And so for those people who want to set it in religion, it's about God's special time. Like this is some would even say it's an appointed time. And so I thought that was interesting for you to choose that song, like "It's My Time." And so I want to talk about that. And especially since you brought up the fact that there were no Black children that participated in this event, I want to ground us also in our EJI tidbit for November 30th. I know that today is December 3rd, but I want to go back to November 30th because of what you just said about this tournament and no Black children being there. It was on November 3rd. Oh, but let me just remind us that the EJI calendar, do you hear feedback? I hear feedback. The EJI calendar for 2025 is already ready. I have already ordered the calendars. I have a few extra copies for those of you who would like a physical calendar. You don't want to order it, I already ordered it for you. You can just reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to meet you wherever you are to make sure you get your calendar. You can hit me up at 501. That's not right. That's not my number. I'm getting ready to give you the station's number. My number is 228-236-7440. 501-228-236-7440. I'm distracted by this feedback. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. 228-236-7440 is the number for me to get you your calendar. If you want to get your calendar online, all you have to do is go to eji.org, eji.org, push it that way, eji.org. And then it'll ask you, click on where it says calendar. All you have to do is input your email address and it will show up in your email inbox every single day. A history of racial injustice. That is what it will say across your subject line to let you know that this is your tidbit for the day. Sometimes I think it's better to get the tidbits daily rather than have the calendar, because some of us will read the entire calendar in one setting, or in one sitting, or you will read a whole week's worth, and that is not healthy. It is just not healthy. So sometimes I think it's better to just read one every day, because it's a lot to process. It's a lot to think about. So I want to let you know that the EJI calendars are ready for 2025, and I do have some available. If you will, on November 30th in 1921, a sheriff in Texas turns Black 15-year-old Robert Murtaugh over to a white lynch mob. The child's body is later found after he was tied to a post and shot to death. A sheriff in Texas turns Black 15-year-old Robert Murtaugh over to a white lynch mob. The child's body is later found after he was tied to a post and shot to death. And so I think when I think about how they mangled and disrespected and dehumanized the body of this young Black man, and I think about the school to prison pipeline that we have operating in our country, and I think about the fact that most Black children are not exposed to chess until they go to the prison system, all of that to me is tied into this conversation. And then we see that there are not Black children who are participating in this particular event on this side of the prison cell. Like it begs the question of why. And you mentioned that maybe some parents don't have the funds to I guess to enter the contest, because I guess it's a tournament, so maybe they don't have the funds. But I just want to pause for just a moment and remind us as Black folks that we make up like $1.3 trillion in this economy. We contribute that trillions of dollars to this economy every single year. I really believe that we have the money to do with what we want to do with it. And so the question to me is not, do you have the money? The question is, how are you spending your money? And so if you know that this is a tournament that's not just about getting money, but it's about what you said. And I wonder though, Chess Master, I wonder, do you take the time at your tournament to give the history of chess? Do you take the time during the tournament at some point to offer some bits of education and information so that they'll know that this is not just a place where you can get some money if you win, but this is a community where we are gathered around this most noble game that is rooted in Blackness, and we need to let the world know, and especially the people who are here, like, how does it work when people gather in that space?
Well, Denise, that's an excellent question. I'm very glad you asked that. And honestly, we have never put it out at any event or any class that it was invented in Africa. And I'm embarrassed to say that, because I think it's important to do that. You find out if that's actually the truth, and then you promote it. That's what I was told by a great scholar. So you find out what's true and just tell the truth. And that definitely needs to be put out, the fact that it originated there. And you try not to offend anyone, but at the same time, it's offensive when you're not telling the truth. You need to tell the truth. If that's where it originated, you'll look it up, and it might say, well, it probably originated in India or China, but the truth is everything originated in Africa. And we have the proof on this. And as far as people not being able to afford to put their children in tournaments, it's not so much that they can't afford that. It's just that there's no financial incentive there. Now, it's been promoted in the media, in the entertainment industry, that chess is a white man's game, chess is a thinking man, rich person's game, and that chess is for nerds. But I guarantee you, if our children see that, and their mothers and their parents see that you can win $5,000, $1,000 at an event, it won't be for nerds anymore. It won't just be a white man's sport anymore. Our children, I've seen the talent. They not only have the capability to participate in the events, but to actually dominate the events. And I think, and this is just me, I think that America is not ready to accept the truth about that. We are shocked that we saw a Black president in the United States, and we didn't have a chance to see that. So that's why I think the time is now. Let's go ahead and wake our children up, give them that critical thinking, that self-esteem, that they might not get involved in gangs, get into drugs, get into violence, and get into being incarcerated, that they might be able to flourish. And Denise, I really appreciate you, because you show that you remember the last conversation that we had, that most Black people don't learn to play chess until they get incarcerated, and that is tragic.
I have a comment here from Lo. It says Sekhmet, I think I said that right, Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess of war, chaos, plague, healing, and the hot desert sun. She was the daughter of the sun god Ra and was often depicted as a woman with the head of a lioness. Sekhmet was a manifestation of Ra's power, the eye of Ra, and she was said to breathe fire. Senet An, ancient Egyptian board game played on a 30 square board with 10 or more pawns. The earliest representation of Senet is from around 2620 BCE, but similar boards and hieroglyphic signs have been found even earlier. And so I think that what is happening is here is Lo doing what he always does and giving us historical context for what it is that we're talking about. So for people who are looking to see what the history of the game is, then here is some information that you can use when you do your own research. Because I appreciate what you said, Chessmaster Tony, about the fact that people don't have to take our word for it. We're telling the truth, but you don't have to believe us. I'm not going to try to persuade you. If you don't want to believe me, you don't have to. But I am trying to encourage you to do your own work. And when you do your own work, you will come to realize that what I said was accurate. And then once you have believed that and you can receive that, then you can act on it. What you cannot do after you have received it is that you cannot unring the bell. So the story and the information still lies within you. The question is, what do you want to do with it? What are you going to do with the facts? Are you going to change the way that you talk? Or are you going to continue to perpetuate lies? Because what I believe that we do, what I know for a fact that we do, is we know the truth and we continue to perpetuate lies. You asked me when we were coming up, you said, how did we do, how was your Thanksgiving? And I said, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. And then people, and you said, oh, I didn't even mean to ask, I shouldn't have asked you that. I said, it's no problem. People ask me that all the time. And I appreciate them asking me because it gives me an opportunity to challenge the lies, right? Thanksgiving is not about some kumbaya moment that happened between the Pilgrims and the First Nation people. And I get an opportunity to share that. I get an opportunity to pause for a minute because somebody's going to look, because I do it all the time. People they get stunned. When you say you don't celebrate Thanksgiving or you don't celebrate the holidays, they are stunned for a moment. And in that moment is an opportunity. And so we can challenge these myths. We can challenge these lies. We can introduce the truth. We can interject the truth. We can disrupt the systems that do not want us to tell the truth if we are willing to use the truth to our advantage. And sometimes we simply are not, but a lot of times we are. And that's what we're here to help you do on this show at Community Voices. And so when you say that Black people maybe they don't see the incentive of participating in this game, to me, that goes back to the system of capitalism. And I feel like as all people, because that was part of our conversation about the holidays, right? Like it's nothing but capitalism. And you said it from the beginning of the year, you start in January. Every month in the year, the system of capitalism is asking you to spend money on a lie. Every single month. And many of us have begun to schedule our own lives around these holidays, and we are spending money to make sure that we are complicit in the perpetuation of these myths and lies. And so if I'm willing to celebrate the Easter Bunny, if I'm willing to celebrate the Tooth Fairy, if I'm willing to celebrate the 4th of July as a Black person, if I'm willing to celebrate Santa Claus, why wouldn't I be willing to enter my child into a chess tournament? You saying because I'm not getting anything out of it? What are you getting out of Santa Claus? What are you getting out of the Tooth Fairy? What are you getting out of Halloween? So we have to change our mindset, because that can't possibly be the answer, that I'm not entering because it's of no benefit to me. None of these things are of benefit to you, but you do them. So why not participate in chess? Right? So to me, it's about rethinking what we are doing and the why behind it. What you think?
I agree with you 100%, but I do think it helps to have somebody to promote it, and that's why I come in. And I'll be remiss if I don't send my love from the Queen, Elizabeth, my wife, Davis. She, there's no way I'd be even sitting up here right now. She's the brains behind all of our operations. She's even created a business to help promote chess. We went down to the Secretary of State. She literally took me by the hand. National Chess League Alliance Association. You'll hear and see more about that on Facebook and in social media. We're getting our tax status and all that stuff together. thanks to her. And we're going to blow this game up. They're to the point where you can do like if you're in Europe. If you're in Europe, you could actually take on chess as a vocation and play for a living. And she's excellent when it comes to getting sponsors and this sort of thing. And I'm just so happy. I thank God for her all day, every day. I really appreciate her helping me to see the vision, to help refine my own personal vision. And also, I'd also be remiss in not mentioning there is this one young lady by the name of Georgia Morris who's been helping to promote chess heavily right here in Little Rock for the last 12 years. She has consistent scholastic tournaments at Mosaic Church, which is located at Colonel Glenn and University. That's Mosaic Church. And let me just go ahead and put the number out and the address out to Andy's, the club where we meet every Saturday once again. That's 9801 Markham, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's 4 hours, when we used to just do. It's a great thing. People find that there's a lot of endorphins and adrenaline rushes that you get when you're sitting up really thinking. You're not just making random moves now. Somebody looking from the outside thinks you're just making random moves, but you're actually sitting there planning and plotting, thinking ahead, trying to see how you can outwit your opponent, out-strategize your opponent. Man, it's the ultimate high. And chess is also being used in every sport. When you play football, when you boxing, they use chess now just all the time. You hear it time and time again. Even Beyonce herself cannot, as talented as she is, as beautiful as her voice sounds, she still has to study and learn the lyrics to the words of the song before she can perform. And that's the same thing with this game. And I'm saying this because a lot of our people I run into that think that they can play without studying. You have to study. And you have to understand studying is actually fun. We've been taught that study is hard and study is work. Well, it might be a little bit of work, but it's actually fun. You get a lot of, like I said, endorphins and adrenaline rushes, dopamine rushes, just from sitting there studying chess. The same rush that you can get from some kind of illicit drug, you can get it from just simply exercising your mind. And you don't have to be smart to play chess. That's a myth. It's the other way around. You play chess and it makes you smarter. Just like lifting weights makes you stronger, playing chess builds that brain.
I want to just, you've said a lot, so I want to just pick up on a couple of things. I do want to appreciate you for lifting up Queen Bee Liz as your partner, just not just in life, but also in this work around chess. And I remember that you were initially scheduled to come on to have this conversation the same day of the election. And I reached out to you and was like, hey, I'd like to have this conversation about the election. Can we reschedule? And when you said that about making sure that you acknowledged and you honored and you celebrated the partnership that the two of you had, immediately I thought about the rift between Black men and Black women in particular, and in the Black community as it relates to gender non-conforming folks and people who are LGBTQ. We have a rift in our relationships. All across the board, we have a rift in our relationships. And when I was thinking about how many Black men, I say many, 6%, 7% of Black men voted for our pending President Donald Trump, one of the reasons that they gave for that is because the Bible tells them that they should not have a woman in leadership. So they could not bring themselves to recognize the leadership power, the leadership skills of a person who has been labeled, identified as a woman in this world. And so I think I just want to hear from you how, you know, I know that there are men who will do exactly what you did. Like, let me lift up my queen. Let me honor her. Let me celebrate her. And yet you still won't have it in you to vote for a woman as president. So this cognitive dissonance where I know that I want to honor my mama. I know I want to honor my grandmama. I know I want to honor my wife. I know I want to honor my lover and my partner. And yet I still way down deep don't believe that they can lead. Don't believe that they can push us forward. Like how does that work for you?
Well, I really appreciate that question tremendously. Pleasantly surprised to know it was only 6%, because I was going to different places and people were like Trump, and that's politics. But I don't know. I didn't know it was because that they didn't want a female.
Some people.
Yeah, some people. Well, I ran into quite a few. It was disturbing to me. But that's just what that is. it's something wrong. Us humans, we're extremely intelligent, but at the same time, we're extremely behind on the most simple things. And that's just one of them. I mean, if the woman is the best person for the job, as some people say, the better man for the job, then why not allow this woman to do that job and perform? You'd rather shoot your own self in the foot, or as the Bible say, you spike your nose, or how do you say it? You
Spike your
break
face
your
because of your
nose,
nose or
spike
something.
your
I know what
face
you're
or
talking about. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy to me. It's just, but yeah, I think it's very, very interesting that election, I'm sure, will go down in history. Hillary was also a female, and she almost won. In fact, she did win the popular vote, if I'm not mistaken. Please
She
correct
won
me
the
if I'm wrong.
popular vote for sure.
Okay,
She absolutely did.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure why this president didn't get more votes. That can't just be the only reason. If Hillary got the popular vote, that she's female.
Oh, I already know the reason. The reason to me is because they labeled her black. I think
Okay.
she would have had a better chance at this particular juncture if it had been Hillary. I think that Hillary may very well have won at this particular juncture in time because she was white. She was a woman, yes, but she was white. And so I had already told plenty of people that I did not think that Vice President Kamala Harris was going to win because it's a big ask for the majority of this world. It's for at such a time as this to vote for somebody that they call black. And when we say such a time as this, I think sometimes that's another thing that we don't think about. We don't put things in context. It is now that the system of whiteness, the system of white inhumanity, is operating on the fear of not being in the majority when it comes to 2042. When the year 2042 gets here, according to the U.S. Census, there would no longer be a white majority. And so that fear is instigating a lot of what we are seeing. And so when we put it in the time, in the context of time, what is happening around us, then we can see all of these laws that they are instituting about voter suppression, the laws around what women can and cannot do with their bodies as it relates to reproduction. Like all of that has to do with this time, the season that we are in. And so I think that had we been talking about, had this been happening when Hillary was running, we may have seen a different result. And sometimes we take time, I don't want to say time as in linear time, but we take situations and circumstances that are surrounding us out of the equation. And I think sometimes that's also part of the conversation when you're talking about children who are being taught about chess or not being taught about chess and whether or not the opportunities are available to you. I don't remember a time in my schooling, and I'm talking about I went to preschool and I've been to postgraduate school. I don't remember a time in my schooling that anybody introduced me to the idea of chess. Not one time. And so I don't know if it's always that a person isn't interested or a person needs a financial incentive or a person doesn't have the money. I think sometimes people are not aware of the opportunities that are available to them. So you saying, okay, you can come to Andy's on Saturday morning for 4 hours, a long time, but anyway, for 4 hours, like, do people have transportation? Like, are y'all offering that? Like, do people even know where Andy's is? Like, I'm not even sure. And what levels are you offering? Because I'm not gonna tell no story, chess master. I sat down with you to learn how to play chess, and a couple of times I was like, whoa, you over my head. I need you to slow down because I'm a novice. Like, I'm new to this. I'm trying to figure it out. So are there levels that people can come in on? Like, this is like entry level, or are people expected to know something about chess? Like, where are y'all starting from when you say that you have classes on Saturdays?
Excellent question. I appreciate that a whole lot. Beginner, you can be a beginner. You can be a master like myself, anywhere in between. And just to let you know, I run into the same thing. There's other masters that show me stuff. I have to get that to slow down. So it's not just you. It's not just me. It happens. And my story, I got introduced to the game. I had a love for the game when I was 7, but I didn't get introduced to the game and learn the game until I was 13. 6 whole years difference. I fell in love with the game at the age of 7. I assumed that when I went to the 3rd grade that I was going to just learn chess. I just thought it was a given. I really did. In the back of my mind, some kind of way I would see chess on TV. I would see somebody say check, and then somebody would respond with checkmate, which actually rarely happens, by the way, for you guys that don't play chess. It doesn't go like that. You call check, somebody else responds with checkmate. That's rare. It happens, but it's very rare. So yeah, I didn't get exposed to the game either for a long time till very late. There's children that get exposed to the game when they're 4 years old, 6 years old. That's just not my story. And so yeah, the lack of availability for the game to be exposed to the game is definitely there, and that's a gap that needs to be filled. And again, that's why I come in. I want to make sure I feel like my mission is accomplished. To not only every school in the state has some kind of chess program for 6, 7-year-olds, kindergartens, but every school in the country needs that. And they do it in other countries, so it can be done.
Yeah, and so when we're talking about, we're bringing in all of these elements. We're thinking about now that we are under this regime for the next 4 years at least, and we're thinking about how we're going to respond to this as Black folks in particular. Like the whole world is having to respond, because when I was in Rome, they were talking about Donald Trump. I mean, everywhere you go, it was all over. I'm on the metro trying to get to the Coliseum for my guided tour. I was on the metro trying to go to my food tour. I was on the metro trying to go to my cooking class. Like every time I got on the metro, there was a TV that was showing Donald Trump. I was so glad that I could not read what they were saying because it was in Italian. I was like, I can't get away from this man. And so the world is trying to figure out how to respond. But one of the things that I'm pushing Black people to think about, Black people in particular, that means every member of the African diaspora, but it also includes people who understand their role in the movement for people who are of African descent, that we have an opportunity here to rethink our lives and go back to being Black first. One of the things I think we have a problem with right now is that we believe that we are no longer Black in the same way that we were when we were enslaved, in the same way that we were during Jim Crow and Jane Crow and the Black codes. We think that we have come beyond that we have arrived to a certain point where we're no longer having to live that existence. And I'm pushing us to realize that regardless of the fact that some of our conditions have changed, you are still Black first in the eyes of this world, And so as a Black person, the world responds to your Blackness. They don't respond to you because you a chess master, Tony Davis. And I hope you don't believe that. I know that's in your name. I know that's in your title. But when you walk into the room, they see Black man. That's what they see. And once we realize that we are still Black first, then perhaps we can go back to being Black and remember what it's like to build all by ourselves. Remember what it's like to have our own businesses in our own communities, with our own schools, with our own medical facilities, with our own farms, with our own everything, instead of waiting for the government to recognize its failures towards Black people, instead of waiting for the government to acknowledge and to apologize for slavery, which clearly they are not going to do. We have to take things within our own hands and say, we don't need you to do anything for us. We have resources now. We have armor now. We have knowledge now that we did not have before. We are ready, armed and ready on so many levels to move us forward. So the question becomes, what are we even exposing our children to? So yes, I wasn't exposed as a child. You weren't exposed for 13 years, 7 years, 6 years, whatever your number is. But now we have information. What's stopping us? And so in this building process that we need to be ready, we need to be part of right now, the number one thing is about education.
Yes.
And so I'm already in conversation with folks about education. We're already working on designing a curriculum, and the curriculum is rooted in the accuracy of who we are as America, not just because we want to quote unquote teach Black history, because there's no such thing as Black history. Black history is America. All of it is American history. And so what we're doing though is structuring it so that when we are looking at the curriculum, we're not talking about math and science and social studies per se. We're talking about problem resolution, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about conflict resolution. We're talking about decision making. We're talking about how to think forward, right? We're talking about the skills that you need to do whatever you want to do, because there are basic skills that you need as a human that will help you be successful no matter what path you take. The system of education that we have now only wants you on a certain path that's going to lead to contributing to the capitalism of a world that does not even love you. And so we're saying, no, you need the skills that allow you to govern your own body in a way that lets you do whatever it is you believe is your gift, your talent, your purpose, to fulfill your purpose, whatever that is. And so we have to get to the point where we are saying, I need to expose myself to different things. I need to expose my children to different things. And my mama, she would always get mad because my little cousin would always have a tablet. He would always be on his iPad. And I said, well, T, do you not realize that you can make a whole living being a gamer? You can make a whole living in IT. You don't have to go to college to do those things. So exposing him to technology, exposing him, it depends on how, right? The how you are doing it. And so some of us have children that are on these tablets all day. Is they playing chess? Because isn't that something that they could be doing?
Yep.
You got them on the tablet,
Sure.
let them play chess.
Absolutely.
And so it's all about our mindset and rethinking and reimagining what it means to offer our children, to offer the next generation, to offer ourselves something that we have been denied by systems.
Yeah, you said a lot of extremely relevant stuff as it pertains to education. So much other stuff that you put in there. I don't know, there's a lot of conditioning, that intentional conditioning that's been going on. And a lot of us are even unwary that things like this has been occurring. If they would listen to all of your shows as well as the study shows, they would know about this. And I'm not sure how many people are in the know of a lot of the things that you just said. A lot of the things, we were extremely in the know in the 70s. I mean, if you got to connect some dots, like I said, I recommend listening to the show on Sunday morning. It's 8:30 to 9:30. Brother Wayne and Brother Al are here. And there's lots and lots and lots of dots to be connected that we just haven't connected. And we need help connecting some of those dots. For example, in the 70s, we were on an upward rise. I mean, blacks had such high self-esteem back then. I'm black and I'm proud. We had our beautiful afros. Black is beautiful. That was a big phrase back then. Then all of a sudden, almost on the drop of a dime, when 1980 hit, blackness was under attack. And we didn't even realize that that's what was actually going on. That was under attack. Crack cocaine inundated all of our neighborhoods across the nation overnight, within a year. We were saturated. The attack on the entertainment system. The rap went from hip hop and hip it to hoes and bees and F-U's and overnight. Okay. The attack on our hair. We couldn't wear afros anymore and have a job. Everybody went from afros to straight hair almost overnight. Now all this stuff happening at the same time couldn't be a coincidence. All of our women started going down the straight hair instead of embracing their afros because of what they read in the Miss Clairol campaign. They spent $25 million on the Miss Clairol campaign. And so there's lots and lots of dots to connect that we're just not able to connect. The unity that we always talk about, you sound like an old person talking about unity because we've been talking about it for 60 years and we're still not unifying. Why aren't we unifying? We've been told, we've had people come over here from Africa, from all other countries. These people go to orientations that they can't mix with other black people when they get over here. And then when they get over here, they don't mix with us and we take offense to them, not knowing that a game of chess is being played right there. We can go on and on and on and on with these dots that need to be connected. We just need to have what you call think tanks. Now, the so-called dominant society has think tanks. They have about 8,000 think tanks, as was stated by Brother Maurice on last Sunday. 8,000 think tanks. Now, if you do the math, let me give an easier number. Well, no, that's easy enough. If you break that down by 50 states, that comes out to about 160 different think tanks in each state that we're not invited to, that they're talking about us. What president are they going to put in office? What entertainment are they going to allow us to watch? What ratchet is? Let's get Bill Cosby, the one black role model. Like I said, we can go on with these dots. Bill Cosby became under attack right at the point that they were getting Mike Brown. We were protesting Mike Brown. I was waiting to see what happened because those cops killed Mike Brown in 2015 and stood around trying to get their lives together. This young black boy is laying on the ground, same age as the boy that Denise talked about earlier in the show, who got shot and lynched. 15 years old, he's laying on the ground dead. They're standing around this body for 4 hours trying to get their lives together. They waited 10 days before they gave us the name of the officer, Darren Wilson. Then all of a sudden, we're talking about Bill Cosby. We done flipped from talking about Michael Brown to talking about Bill Cosby. You see that game? It's a game. And a lot of us don't recognize these as intentional games. They tell us what to think on the news. They talk about one thing. They won't talk about another thing that we need to talk about. Nobody's even remember or hearing them talk about Johnny Cochran at all. They condition us to think about what they want us to think about. But if we use critical thinking, we can break out of at least some of that. But we have to learn. They talk about killing the willing relationship inside of all of us, but we can go on and on and on with these diets.
Yeah, and I think that. Oh wait, let me get this. Wait a minute. What is this? What is that? Let me get this comment from Hotep on here. It was all of a sudden. It was by design to keep Black people under the system. He's going back to what you said about all of those things that were happening in succession in our lives as Black folks. You did mention though that Black women. You said that we were listening to the Miss Clairol campaign, and we began to no longer love our Black hair. But right before that, you said that it got to the point where if you were wearing an afro, you could no longer be employed. Yeah. And so I think that that's the bigger message that needs to be shared. It's not that a Black woman is trying to fall into this European standard of beauty, but she is trying to keep food on the table, and she is trying to take care of her children. And if you're thinking about this in the context of what you said about the drug epidemic, there are Black men and Black women who are dying daily at this point. So children are living in homes sometimes where there's only one parent as a result of this crack epidemic, this war on drugs. Let me say that, this war on drugs. And there, in some cases, they have no parents because both of the parents have fallen prey to this war against their bodies. And so now there are folks that are having to step up, and they've got to take care of these children who are now orphaned, these children who are now depending on one parent in the home to help them stay alive. And so it's not about whether or not I'm trying to be cute. It's about I need my job. And so we are fearful of losing that job because it is our livelihood, which is why I'm pushing us to remember that we can create our own jobs. Because when we were segregated in the 60s, we created our own jobs. And so now we've gotten to the point that we think that we have to wait for somebody else to be our boss. Yes. We need somebody else to be our supervisor. We need somebody else to be the CEO and to bless us with a job. And that's no longer the mindset that we need. Look at your hands right now. Just take a look at your own hands. You have everything that you need in the power of your own hands to build your own business, to start your own garden, to feed your own children, to build your own house, to build your own community, to educate your own children, to take care of your own bodies. We have all of that knowledge living in ourselves because we have inherited from the very people that suffered way more physically than we do. We suffer more psychologically and economically and psychologically and spiritually and emotionally than they did. But we have the cells in our bodies that are still alive with the movement of their hands. So we've got to get out of this mindset that, I can't lose my job. Why you can't? What's going to happen if you lose your job? You'll just get another one. Or for many of us, we walk away from the job because we can no longer live like this because I'm over educated and underpaid. I'm disrespected on a regular basis. I'm dehumanized by the system. Why not remind ourselves that we have all that we need to develop our own systems that embrace the whole of who we are as Black folks?
A lot of that just goes back to education. We think we're supposed to go to school so we can get a good job, job with IBM, instead of owning by IBM. We're not taught to own industry, own businesses, be business owners. And education is just big time under attack. They're being very blatant with it right now.
Yeah, let me get this call. Caller, you're live on the air at KABF 88.3 FM. Thanks for calling. Say it again, caller. I can't hear him. Can you hear him? Caller, I need you to call us back. Caller, I need you to call us back. We're not doing something right. Call us back. Caller, please call us back. I'm not doing something right because I can hear you. I know you're there, but I cannot. I don't think the rest of the listening audience could hear you at all. So just give us a call back. But you were saying, I didn't want to lose the call, but you were saying that it's attack on education. It's attack on our minds. We are conditioned to believe that we're supposed to work for folks. Yeah. We're not conditioned to believe that we are the ones who create the jobs, that we are the ones who own the businesses, who own the companies, who are the ones who are the employers. We were not taught that. And sometimes it's difficult for us to get out of that mindset. So I feel like all of what we're saying, even though when we go back to the game of chess, is about what does the Bible call it? Renewing your mind. Yeah, like you need to renew your mind.
There's so much to unpack in the way we've been conditioned. I mean, hundreds of years we had to work hard, sun up, sun down, under gunpoint, torture. getting whipped, getting killed, getting separated from your family. Now that we got the chains off, many of us just want to just lay back. We got lazy. And when it comes to building, we want to let somebody else, leave that to somebody else. We're satellites, we're overwhelmed now. We've been miseducated so bad. We don't even know about Black Wall Street. We don't understand that we came out of slavery working. We came out of slavery building industry. We did that. But that history was hidden from us. We don't know that that's who we are. We're financial people. We know how to save money. We just don't know that we know how to do this. We had our own banks. We had our own churches, schools. We went to school in shirt and ties, and suit and tie. Then it all just gets burnt down to the ground viciously like that. And I'm not saying that so we can be angry. I'm just saying that so we can know the truth.
Well, I don't know how you can be Black in America and not be angry personally. And
Oh, yeah.
James Baldwin says that all the
that's
time,
true.
that we as Black people are living in a perpetual state of rage because of what is
Yes.
happening around us. But there is a way to channel that anger so that we can use it in a way that helps us go forward. So Lo says, Black folks, why are we taking our time, talents, and treasure to build up someone else's dream instead of our own? Why are we taking our time, our talents, and treasure to build up someone else's dream instead of our own? And it does go back to mindset, because when you called us lazy, I cringed a little bit, because to me that word lazy, especially when you apply it to a Black person, is rooted in the system of white inhumanity.
That's true.
When Isabel Wilkerson was here, the author of Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent, she was here. She was at the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. And one of the things she said is the most diabolical thing that the system of whiteness has done to us is to make us believe as Black folks that we are lazy. How can you call a people who built this very country from the ground up? How can you then turn around after you have extracted all of the labor that you possibly could until you no longer could, because the law wouldn't allow it? If the law had allowed them to continue to enslave us, believe me, we would still be working in those fields the way that they had us. Look at the fields that they have the incarcerated people working in. They're doing the same work that our ancestors were doing, because they are criminals and therefore they have been labeled criminals. They are slaves. So for you to then call these people, these Black folks, these members of the African diaspora, to call us lazy, how dare you? How dare you? And especially when we ask the question to the system of whiteness, what have you done? What are your contributions? Because you said this earlier, Chess Master. You said that, and I got a problem with that word master, but we can talk about that later. You talked about that. You talked about that earlier, that everything started in Africa. When I was in the museums, when I was in Italy, I'm in the museum and I'm looking, and they're talking about, like, they have a whole picture of the continent of Africa. And they're talking about, this is the origin of what we call Homo sapiens, the origin of what we call humans.
Right.
This is the origin of it. So I don't care who you are, what you do, what you look like, this is your origin. And so to now act like we don't exist, to minimize us, to dehumanize us, to degrade us, to continue to desecrate our bodies, and then have us believe it, you get me worked up. So don't call Black folks lazy, because the last thing that we are is lazy. Now, we may have gotten to the point that some of us feel like, listen, I don't want to do this manual labor anymore, because that's part of the 8 pillars of caste that Isabel Wilkerson talks about too. Okay. She talks about the fact that that one of the issues, one of the pillars of the caste system is to relegate you to menial labor as a Black person. We're the lowest members of the caste system. Remember when Donald Trump said Black jobs? Yes. And he was talking about Black, what was he talking about? He was talking about the service industry. He was talking about those jobs that other people who think they're more superior don't want to do. And so they've relegated. So there are some of us who say, look, I'm not doing this. I would rather be over here sitting down with my homies than over here picking this cotton or whatever it is you got me doing. Now, some of us are trapped in that mindset, and we do need to address that. But to call us lazy, oh no,
I agree 100%. I don't think we're lazy. If I said that, I just simply made a mistake. It's just there's so much stuff that we're trying to get out and get said in a short period of time. Education is just under attack. They literally wanted to take out Rosa Parks out of the school. They did that in Florida, and Sarah Huckabee here wants to follow suit. And they're being very, very blatant, very disrespectful.
Yeah, they are. But here's the thing, though. even if they take it out of the curriculum, you can't change the facts.
That's
right?
true.
And that's why we have to build our own education
Absolutely.
system. We have to build our own schools.
Absolutely.
We have to be one. We have to take advantage of one of the things that I did appreciate about Donald Trump when he was being called on the carpet about his taxes. One of the things he said was, listen, you can't get mad at me because I'm not paying taxes, because all I'm doing is taking advantage of the loopholes that you created in this system. There are loopholes in the system that Black folks can capitalize on to educate our own selves instead of sitting back talking about they gonna take Rosa Parks out. They gonna take everything out. They don't want the truth. But what are we gonna do? Right? We can respond, and we can use their system to respond in ways that help us create a different system that is more just and more equitable.
We need to do that. We need to change the game. We need to quit trying to aspire to be as good as them and just change the entire game.
Yeah, because they ain't good.
The educational system. We can homeschool our own children. Why are we sending our children to people who hate us?
Ask it again. Why are we what now? Ask it again.
Everything, you can learn how to build a rocket just by using this thing right here. Literally. We have all the education we need right here. If we use it for more than just pornography, we can actually use this thing to build.
You be tripping. You use it for more than just pornography. Who using it for pornography? What is we talking about right now?
According to stats, about 95% of human beings use it for pornography.
Oh, so you ain't just talking. I thought you were talking about Black folks, because we were talking about Black folks. No. I'm like, whoa. Okay, all right. Let me get this message right here. It says, as many Black folks that have been in the military, we have to develop a strategy and plan so that there is not another burning down of the many Black Wall Streets that existed throughout this country. As many Black folks that have been in the military, we have to develop a strategy and plan so that there is not another burning down of the many Black Wall Streets that existed throughout this country. And you're exactly right, because when we think about the Black Wall Street, and let me just make sure that we are clear that the area was named Black Wall Street, but it was really Greenwood. It was the Greenwood area, 30 blocks in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was named Black Wall Street because I think it was W.E.B. Du Bois, somebody like that, some Black person that we consider to be an icon in our community, came, and when he saw the brilliance of these 30 blocks, when he saw the economic development, when he saw how many times the dollar was circulating within these blocks, when he saw the unity, when he saw the support, when he saw this, he said, man, this is like Black Wall Street, and that's where it got its name. And so when we think about what happened when they declared war on Greenwood, what we call Black Wall Street, the men, the military folks in that town, in that area, they hit the street. They were armed, and they hit the street side by side, row by row, walking toward the fight, saying, we are armed and we are ready and we are unafraid and we are unapologetic. We will defend ourselves to the end. And what happened was that they were outgunned. They didn't have as many arms because the whole government was supporting the system of white inhumanity against these men and this community who stood up for themselves. So we don't tell those stories. We want to always put Black people in the position of victim. We want to always act like they did something to us. And we were fighting, and we fought until we could fight no more. And that's what we've got to do now. We have got to fight until we can fight no more. And so wait a minute. Queen B using my hubby's Facebook account. Denise, please know how much we appreciate you, and tell Tony thank you for acknowledging my part of his dream. I married a man like Dr. King with a dream, and I have a plan. I didn't have the dream, but as a dream bearer, I have a plan. Plans to prosper and encourage chess, especially among our people. God bless. That is from your queen. Hey, y'all, listen. That's a great note to leave on. We got your girl Lola right outside the door, ready to come with 2 hours of jazz. It's going to continue to stimulate your mind. She's not just playing to move your body, although I know that's what happens because I be listening and I be moving, but also to stimulate your mind, to keep you thinking, to keep you planning, to keep you strategizing, to keep you in this conversation about how to move forward as a human family, especially thinking about what it means to be Black in that context. So we're going to get her started with your girl Sade. She's singing, is it a crime? Is it a crime that I still love you? And that's a question that we have to ask Black folks. Is it a crime when you keep loving this system that does not love you back? Let's think about it while we listen to her. Come on in, your girl Lola. We ready for you. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.